Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Today, we're diving deep into the action-packed, emotionally twisted, and often confusing ending of The Old Guard 2. If you walked away from this sequel wondering what the heck just happened with Quinn, Discord, Nile, and Andy, and how immortality got passed around like a hot potato, don't worry, you're not alone. Let's unpack the final act of this film, break down what it all means, and look ahead to what's possibly coming in The Old Guard 3. So, what actually happened in the end? Let's start with the core of the story. Andy and her team trying to stop Quinn from setting off a nuclear bomb in Jakarta, Indonesia. Yeah, that's not exactly your average immortal showdown. Andy's team finds out that Quinn, yes, the same Quinn who was locked in an Iron Maiden and thrown into the ocean 500 years ago, is back. And she's not here for hugs and tearful reunions. After being trapped and repeatedly drowning for centuries, she's understandably furious. But instead of channeling that rage into, I don't know, therapy or meditation, she's teamed up with Discord, the first immortal, who's now a full-blown villain with a god complex. Their plan? Blow up a nuclear facility, kill millions, and maybe, just maybe, reshape the world in their own twisted vision. Why Jakarta? That's still murky. Maybe because it's a weakly guarded site, or maybe just because the script needed a big global threat. Either way, it's where everything goes down. The confusing case of Discord's plan now. Let's talk about Discord. She's introduced as the world's first immortal, and now seems obsessed with being the only immortal. Apparently, she lost her regenerative powers some time ago, and came up with a plan to regain them by taking immortality from others. Specifically, from Nile. Remember, Nile is considered the last immortal, and according to some ancient immortal lore, dug up by a new recruit named Tua, she might be capable of removing immortality from others. Not exactly the superpower you'd want unless your enemy wants to become mortal, but here we are. So Discord's goal is to capture Nile and the rest of the Guard, force Nile to strip them of their powers, and somehow transfer that power back into herself. And yes, this involves torture, a lot of it. But here's the weird part. The power transfer is only supposed to work if it's done willingly. So Discord's plan to coerce everyone into giving up their power, not very airtight. Booker's final redemption. Now, let's rewind to Booker, one of the most tortured souls in the franchise. He's the immortal who betrayed the Guard in the first film, hoping that pharmaceutical testing could lead to their mortality. Not exactly evil, but definitely desperate. In The Old Guard 2, Booker is still carrying the weight of his past. His relationship with the team, especially Andy, is rocky, but it's clear that all he wants now is redemption, and maybe, finally, peace. So what does he do? He orchestrates a bold and secretive plan. After sparring with Nile and realizing that he's not healing anymore, Booker knows his immortality is gone. Turns out, he's already passed it on to Andy. Yep, without telling anyone, Booker transfers his immortality to Andy, probably during their travel or a shared moment before the final battle. When Andy realizes what he's done, it's too late. Booker throws himself into the final fight against Discord's men, buying time for Andy to stop Quinn. He dies a mortal, but a hero. Here's the thing though, this power transfer mechanic, it's vague, too vague. We're told it requires consent, timing, willingness. Yet it all happens off-screen and in a way that feels kind of casual. For a franchise so focused on the mystery of immortality, this deserved a bit more clarity and emotional weight. Andy and Quinn, lovers, enemies, allies. Let's get to one of the most anticipated reunions. Andy and Quinn. These two were lovers centuries ago, but after Quinn was captured, tortured and discarded into the ocean, Andy gave up the search and chose to help mankind instead. Quinn? She never forgot. Or forgave. She's furious that Andy moved on with her life instead of tearing the world apart to find her. And honestly, can you blame her? Being stuck in a metal coffin at the bottom of the sea for 500 years is the stuff of nightmares. Their reunion is emotional, raw, and tragic. Quinn wants revenge. She wants the world to feel the pain she felt. But Andy believes their role as immortals is to protect humanity, not punish it. When they finally face off at the Serpong nuclear facility, it seems like Quinn is going to go through with the detonation. Nile wounds her, which, based on the law, removes her immortality. Now mortal, Quinn sits with the detonator in her hand, ready to blow the world apart. But Andy reaches her. Through a quiet, heartfelt moment, she convinces Quinn to let go of her anger. Not with a grand speech, not with a dramatic fight, just a connection, and Quinn listens. She steps away from the edge of destruction. Redemption? Maybe, at least for now. Still, let's be honest here, Quinn's heel turn felt rushed. Her years of rage, her alliance with Discord, her commitment to nuclear annihilation, all unravelled in a minute-long conversation. It didn't quite match the emotional build-up. This was a massive missed opportunity to explore a lovers to enemies to lovers arc in all its messy, dramatic glory. So, what was Discord actually trying to do? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We get bits and pieces of Discord's motives throughout the film, but they never fully crystallize. She's angry at the Guard for interfering with humanity. She wants to be the only immortal again. She wants Nile to remove the Guard's powers so she can absorb them. Okay, fine. But then, what? What does Discord plan to do once she's the last immortal? Rule the world? Travel to space? Establish an empire? Bring back ancient Rome? We're never told. Her endgame is as vague as her methods. She's built up as this godlike, enigmatic figure, yet her plan hinges on vague science, ancient theories, and a whole lot of assumptions. And again, if power transfers require willing participants, how does torture help? It's like the writers wanted a big, bad villain without actually giving her a strong foundation. Discord could have been fascinating. Instead, she feels like a plot device. What about Nile? Let's talk about Nile for a minute, because her arc is slowly becoming the backbone of this trilogy. She's the youngest immortal, the most idealistic, and now, possibly, the most powerful. Tua's theory that Nile has the ability to strip immortality from others gives her an entirely new level of importance. That's why Discord is after her. That's why she becomes the key to everyone's survival or downfall. But Nile's also caught between two worlds. She has a family, her mother and brother, whom Discord could use as leverage. That vulnerability might make her more willing to act under pressure. In a potential third movie, expect this inner conflict to come to a boiling point. Will she become the weapon Discord wants her to be? Or will she find a new way to protect both her team and her family? The future. What could happen in The Old Guard 3? The film ends with a soft cliffhanger. Andy and Quinn are together again. Quinn is healing, physically and emotionally, and she vows to help Andy rescue the rest of the team. We don't see Copley in the final scenes, suggesting he's been captured too. Nile, Joe, and Nikki are still prisoners, likely facing torture. Discord is out there, regrouping, possibly planning something even more twisted. So where does that leave us? Rescue mission incoming. Andy and Quinn will likely team up for a globe-trotting mission to find and save their friends. Along the way, we might finally get the screen time their relationship deserves. Power transfers galore. If Tua's theory holds, immortality can be passed, but only willingly, and possibly with Nile as the conduit. This sets up a dramatic dilemma. Will someone give up their power to save another? The final showdown. Expect the third film to go darker, grittier, and more intense. The previous threats, Merrick and now Discord, have talked a big game about torture and control, but so far, we haven't really seen the horror they promised. The third film needs to deliver on that. A new immortal death? Don't be surprised if another major character dies, or chooses to become mortal. Quinn might get her immortality back. Andy or Nile might give up theirs in a tragic sacrifice. The emotional stakes need to rise. Can Discord be stopped? If the Guard won't kill her, maybe they'll trap her. An Iron Maiden repeat? A prison in space? Something poetic? Either way, her reign has to end, one way or another. Our nerdy thoughts. The Old Guard too had ambition, action, and plenty of emotional tension, but it also left us with a lot of questions. The lore around immortality got even more tangled. Some character arcs felt rushed, and Discord, despite her name, didn't cause quite the chaos we expected. Still, the pieces are in place for a thrilling finale. If the next installment can clean up the mythology, dive deeper into the relationships, and finally deliver on the emotional and moral weight of immortality, this trilogy could still stick the landing. But that's just my take. What did you think of The Old Guard 2? Did Booker's sacrifice hit home? Were you satisfied with Quinn's change of heart? And what do you think Discord's real endgame is? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.